Peel Regional Police has targeted and take down the organized crime who were doing home invasions and break and enters. So 13 people have been charged, but 5 have been released on bail. There were 3 previous convictions of these 13 arrested. Let's see the report. And also the Mayor Patrick Brown, he got some security by the Peel Regional Police because he is facing a death threat. He is bold, our mayor is bold, but he is facing a death threat. That's the reason he is having some security by Peel Regional Police. So Peel Regional Police has said that this is not the place to do crime. If you do crime here in region of Peel, you will be not spared. So let's see the details of Project Ghost.
So this press conference related to Project Ghost. Project Ghost was a project that was oriented towards people that were conducting home invasions and car theft in our community. Violent home invasions. It was unacceptable for us, unacceptable for the community, so we started this project. As a result of it, we've arrested and charged a total of 13 people, laid almost 200 charges. But most importantly, we've said to that particular criminal network, not in Peel. It's not welcome, it's not accepted. And we've let the victims that were affected by these crimes, which are horrible crimes, know that they have a starting place to begin rebuilding their lives, rebuilding their sense of safety, because they now know who's responsible for the crimes that affected them so deeply. You know, the issue of bail review and legislative reform and all those things, that's something that our police service has been engaged in for years. In actuality, if you go back several years ago to when our chief first started talking about it on the heels of a homicide where a person had been released multiple times, we've been hard at work at it. So, you know, we've had opportunities to advocate on behalf of our community at the province, at the federal level, and a variety of other stakeholders. We hear what the issues are. In fact, we see them. Our investigative teams experience them. And we are as committed to making change as you are towards seeing them changed.
We are here to share the results of a project called Project Ghost. This project focused on a violent criminal network responsible for organizing numerous home invasions and car thefts. It was allegedly led by several adults who were primarily using youth from our community to execute those home invasions and car thefts. In relation to the outcomes, a total of 13 people have been charged with a total of 197 violent criminal offenses. $1.8 million in stolen property was taken during those crimes, of which they've recovered approximately 1/3. In addition to that, they have dismantled an organized criminal network which was creating terror in our community. In relation to the impact that it will carry for our community, I really want you to begin to consider the experiences of the people that were affected by the crimes carried out by this group. Imagine being asleep at your home at 3 o'clock in the morning with your family, your kids, when the door explodes open and masked, armed criminals break into your home and immediately begin to rob you and assault you. That was the experience for one of the families here. In fact, he and his wife were both stabbed during that incident. And he represents the experience that many other families and communities had during the criminal activities that were conducted by this group. One of those people, I've had the opportunity to review victim impact statements and some of the details, and our teams had conversations. One of them shared that this experience was a violation of their life, their peace, and their freedom. These crimes terrorize our community, and they cannot be accepted. Our community wants people responsible for them held accountable. And really, because of the work of this team and the people standing behind me, we are able to say to our community, not only have we arrested them, charged them, but we have started the process of holding the people that terrorize our communities responsible and accountable. The impact of Project Ghost to our community is it begins to provide a starting place for people who have been affected by these crimes to recover from the trauma of their experience. Project Ghost should also serve as a reminder to the people who would target our community and try to do similar activities that it's not welcome in Peel. Our community doesn't accept it, our police service doesn't accept it, and it's because of the people like those standing behind me that I can say you can expect to be arrested and charged if you come to Peel and engage in these types of activities. Our residents deserve to feel safe in our community and in their homes, and we're willing to do everything we can in order to provide them those feelings.
Good morning, this is Nitin Chopra. Once again, great job by Peel Regional Police, commendable job, and hats off to Peel Police. 9 years ago, we had the same question. We have provincial and federal counterparts here also, and today the question remains the same. For how many days these criminals will remain behind the custody, in the custody, or they are already out? So question goes to federal and provincial counterparts. Anyone can answer. Thank you.
I would maybe just, you asked the question specifically to the number of people that are out who have been charged, et cetera. And of course, I would ask the team to correct me, but of the 13 charged, 5 have been provided bail. Now, keeping in mind some of those are youth. And then to speak to the broader question that you're asking, Neaton, particularly around like sentencing, bail reform, I think what I would like to do is just provide assurance to our community and certainly the people that were affected by the crimes in this investigation. Peel Police is not just enforcement oriented. We are looking for the gaps and the issues and really the opportunity to represent voices like yours and other community members' voices and represent them in a way that helps fill some of those gaps. So that's something that we're continuing to look at. Bail reform, et cetera. And, again, I would defer to the letters that have been issued by our Police Services Board. Patrick, our Mayor, Patrick Brown, and really the collection that you see here. There's a collective will to make change that results in genuine difference. And that's what we're working on.
And just to say, Nitin, I know you've been on this topic for a long time, but I think there is reason for optimism. I know there's new bail reform legislation coming in the fall, and just as recently as a month ago, Chief Nish, Deputy Chief Milovich were meeting with the Ministers of Public Safety, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Combating Crime, to share Peel Police's input on how we could strengthen bail reform in Canada. I know Minister Hammett has been on that non-stop as well, but I feel that we're on the precipice of seeing some meaningful bail reform that we'll hopefully see the details on in the fall.
The federal government is reducing the number of temporary residents in Canada. In recent past, we have seen many criminal gangs being charged for violence and thefts. Could you specify the immigration status of these who have been charged with creating havoc in our communities? What was the immigration status? Because earlier also we have seen in press conferences many of the immigration status, because the community wants to know whether they are homegrown culprits or they came to country without getting criminal background checks. So we would like to know from Peel Police and also from federal or provincial counterparts.
I can say that all 13 that were charged in this are Canadian citizens.
And then maybe just to the second part of your question, Neaton, and I'm happy to pass it over to some of the federal representation we have here, is I believe the reputation and certainly we provide the details that we see. If we see a trend or something that's concerning, we share that with the community. In this case, it isn't an issue. In other cases, we have pointed certain things out. And it's not to point the finger, it's to identify, again, the gaps that maybe exist that we collectively can address. Again,
Thank you very much. I'll just start by saying thank you to our phenomenal Peel Police and to our representatives who have done an amazing job in ensuring that our communities are safe. With respect to your question as to what the immigration status is of people, I think that what we need to do is focus on the crime and the criminal and to protect our communities without creating a rift between people. Canada is very lucky to have so many diverse communities that live together, that work together, and that are all of us willing and able to work together to ensure that all of us are safe. And so as we're talking and dealing with immigration issues, I can assure you that our IRCC department works really hard to ensure that everybody that comes into Canada has clear and really rigorous security processes where they go through criminality checks and security checks and their prohibitions, etc. And we are willing to work with all of our counterparts, the police, with our local representatives and with the provincial representatives as well to ensure that our communities are safe, while also ensuring that there is no bias and that people are able to live, work, and play together here in a city like Mississauga and the region of Peel. Thanks.
Thank you for the questions. I'd like to touch on your previous question from the provincial perspective. I touched on it in my remarks as well. We do need meaningful bail reform from the federal government. Now, it's something they've signaled is coming in September, so I'm very excited to see what's being presented. But this is an issue that all 13 premiers in our country have been united on for a long time. You must have heard the news about the 6-time drunk driver that was arrested last week and let on bail with a promise of promising that he wouldn't drive again, despite the fact that he already had 3 lifetime convictions. So we do need to strengthen our criminal code and bail reform to make sure that people like that driver aren't allowed to endanger public safety. But thank you for the question.
Hi, my name is Clayton Devane with True North. This will be a question to police. Were any of the individuals out on bail or in breach of previous release conditions?
None of the 13 individuals were out on bail. 3 were on previous, more minor release conditions.
Okay. So when the federal government claimed they fixed the bail problem, we heard some of that, or at least have made it better. Has police seen any improvement, and is there any room to further strengthen bail laws, et cetera?
I couldn't comment on that particularly, but what I can say is this year, generally speaking, we have seen some improvements in crime rates. But I want to offer the caveat or the asterisk that is over the high water mark of the year prior. So, if I was asked to articulate where I feel that we're at, we are having some positive momentum forward and seeing some good things, but there's much more work to be done.
And what could be done?
Again, continued focus on some of the things that we've been talking about. We need to look at, the issue of bail. We need to look at the legislation, its evolution and modernization. Is it capturing, the types of offenses that we are seeing? It's really a host of things that are owned by a variety of stakeholders, provincial, federal, police, like really all of the stakeholders that are relevant to the issues that we're talking about, that need to roll their sleeves up, fill the gaps, and provide a more balanced response strategy. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do here at Peel Police, is bring everybody along so the forward momentum results in change.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I really do appreciate that question, and I know that a lot of the country is talking about bail reforms as the end-all, fix-all, but ultimately, laws and writing laws do not just fix a problem with the flip of a switch. It is continued collaboration between the administration of law, which is the responsibility of our provinces, and with our local police. And I know that at the federal level, we are very, very eager to collaborate with all levels of government to ensure that our communities are kept safe, and including Peel region.
Mayor, again, a good job at the Peel Police, 13 arrested, because home invasion, the jewelry stores, break and enters is a serious thing here in Peel region. What do you say?
Well, it's great news. Project Ghost was successful. These criminals who were part of an organized crime syndicate were terrifying families, brazen home invasions, exploiting youth as a criminal enterprise is disgusting, it's ugly, it's nasty, and the fact that they have been arrested and charged is a great day for public safety.
The people, the Bramptonians, saying that you got a security, what kind of a threat you have, Mayor? We are also concerned.
Yeah, I would refer to the Peel Police. In my job, once in a while there'll be death threats, but I have confidence in the Peel Police that they take these threats seriously and address them. It won't change how I approach my job and how I'll continue to be outspoken on public safety issues.
So is the first time you got these death threats, or previously also?
No, a number of years ago it occurred as well.
But you are strong, you'll face all these.
It will not change my approach for an instant.
Okay, so any message, the community, the Bramptonians, those who are concerned about your safety, what do you want to say to them?
That I feel safe, I've got confidence in Peel Police, and I'll continue to be outspoken on public safety issues.
Those people who say if our mayor is not safe, how can we feel ourselves safe?
I think everyone should feel safe in Canada, feel safe in Peel region. We've got a great police force and we're making strides against organized crime.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Questions for Mayor Patrick Brown. Mayor Brown, can you comment on the report that you have been under police protection recently due to a threat?
Just, refer that to Deputy Chief Milovich.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. The reality is we have received and are investigating a threat that was made not just against the mayor, but his family as well. And so because of the nature of that threat, we felt it was prudent, out of an abundance of caution, to supplement him with police security until that threat was investigated appropriately. And so that's the crux of it. And again, I would just liken it to, the mayor. Of course, he's a mayor. He's also a community member who has received a threat that we've assessed as requiring additional security in order to make sure, out of an abundance of caution, that there's no issues, and that's what we've done.
Can you tell us where the threat came from, and if it came from outside of Canada, which country it came from?
I can tell you the investigation is still ongoing. I believe that we are very close to being able to share additional details, but to share them at this point potentially could jeopardize the investigation. We will do that once we're able to do that.
But within or within Canada or not?
Within.
Questions for Mayor Patrick Brown. Mayor Brown, can you comment on the report that you have been under police protection recently due to a threat?
I would just refer that to Deputy Chief Milovich.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. The reality is we have received and are investigating a threat that was made not just against the mayor, but his family as well. And so because of the nature of that threat, we felt it was prudent, out of an abundance of caution, to supplement him with police security until that threat was investigated appropriately. And so that's the crux of it. And again, I would just liken it to, the mayor. Of course, he's a mayor. He's also a community member who has received a threat that we've assessed as requiring additional security in order to make sure, out of an abundance of caution, that there's no issues, and that's what we've done.
Can you tell us where the threat came from, and if it came from outside of Canada, which country it came from?
I can tell you the investigation is still ongoing. I believe that we are very close to being able to share additional details, but to share them at this point potentially could jeopardize the investigation. We will do that once we're able to do that.
But within or within Canada or not?
Within. Commonly, it would really probably depend on the size of the municipality. More specifically to the protection that was provided to Mayor Brown and his family. I think most police services would provide something very similar if they were equipped with the same information and risk assessment outcomes that we were. Really, it was preventative and out of an abundance of caution. We want to make sure that somebody that's here representing our community and because of some of the stances that they've taken is well protected and there's no issues in relation to their safety and security while we're conducting the investigation. And the thing is, I think, important to remember, our response wouldn't have been different if it's not uncommon for us to do this type of thing. It's an unfortunate reality. At times people receive threats and we're concerned about them, and we will do things to make sure that we can mitigate any risk to them and their family.
Well, I wouldn't want to interfere with the investigation. Just to say I've got great confidence in the Peel Police. I feel safe because we have a great police force in Peel Region. This is not the first time I've received a death threat. I did so a number of years ago. I'm sure it won't be the last, and it certainly won't change my approach. I certainly want my family to be safe, and I believe they are, but it won't change my approach to being outspoken about public safety and to do my job accordingly.
Project Ghost was initiated after a criminal organization was identified as being involved in violent home invasion robberies for high-end vehicles and jewelry. The initial incident occurred on August 1st, 2024 at 2:45 a.m. when 3 suspects attempted to break into a home on Maybeck Drive in Brampton after targeting a BMW parked in the driveway. The suspects fled in a white Acura after failing to gain entry to the home. About 30 minutes later, the same suspects broke into a Boathouse Road home and demanded keys to a Mercedes-Benz. Though the victims complied, 3 were stabbed, one critically with a wound narrowly missing his heart. The suspects fled in the same white Acura. On September 10th, the driver of a Lamborghini was shot and seriously injured in an attempted robbery in Mississauga. This project was able to link the shooting and home invasions to the same criminal group and further identified over 10 other home invasions and jewelry thefts this organization was responsible for across Peel and Halton. Through various investigative techniques, several individuals have been identified as participating in this criminal organization with distinct roles, ranging from researching residences to target with high-end luxury vehicles, recruiting individuals to commit the robberies, providing direction on how to commit the robberies, and the selling of the stolen property after the robberies. As a result of this criminal organization, over $1.8 million of property was stolen, which includes high-end vehicles and jewelry. On June the 5th, 2025, a series of coordinated search warrants and arrests took place in Peel Region, Toronto, and Waterloo, involving approximately 200 officers. This investigation has led to the arrests and charges of the following 13 individuals for offenses including instructing, recruiting, and participating in a criminal organization, committing an offense for a criminal organization, trafficking in firearms and stolen property, as well as robberies and thefts. The following charged individuals are male residents of Mississauga: Muhammad Munzir Sultan, 21 years old; Unali Hussein, 25 years old; Muhammad Raid Abbasi, 20 years old; Mirza Arfin Bag, 22 years old; Malad Barghouthi, 24 years old; Mustafa Alabad, 20 years old, and a 16-year-old young person. Additionally charged are 3 male individuals from Toronto: Arbaaz Amir, 22 years old; Noor Nelly Dang Akuk Noor, 20 years old, and a 16-year-old young person. Finally, there are 3 young persons from Brampton charged, aged 15, and 2 that are 16 years old.
Our police services work tirelessly to keep our homes, workplaces, and streets secure, and our government is committed to helping them every step of the way. As you know, as we all know, crimes such as auto theft, carjacking, and break and enter have been on the rise in recent years. And as these crimes have increased in their prevalence, so too have criminals become even more brazen. And that's exactly why initiatives like Project Ghost is so critical. It's essential that police, whether here in Peel or across Ontario, are empowered to take necessary actions to keep our communities safe. Our government understands that professional, well-resourced policing is key to addressing crime, and we continue to find ways to support our police services with initiatives such as the Preventing Auto Thefts Grant, the OPP-led Provincial Auto Theft and Towing Team, the $134 million Joint Air Support Unit with 5 advanced police helicopters for GTA and Ottawa, plus $57 million for 2 new H-135 helicopters for Niagara and Windsor, and the GTA Greater Golden Horseshoe Investigative Fund. These are just a selection of some of our government's effort to strengthen our police's abilities to investigate and catch criminals. But that's not the end of the story. Our government is also acting decisively on bail reform. Currently, our provincial bail compliance dashboard is tracking 6,300 firearm offenders. As of June this year, 15 police services, including Peel Regional Police, have launched their bail compliance dashboards, helping to ensure that those on bail meet their conditions. We're also strengthening bail compliance team to monitor high-risk individuals effectively. And we're advocating for tougher federal bail reforms to keep repeat offenders off our streets. Tackling crime requires a strong, professional team, and our government will never waver in our support for our brave men and women in uniform. By working together with police, we'll build a safer and stronger Ontario for all.
First of all, a big thank you to the Peel Regional Police, Deputy Chief Milnovich, one of the smartest minds in the country when it comes to combating organized crime. You take any difficult investigation, the Peel Regional Police can solve it. I like to say, and I've said it many times, the best of the best we see in PRP. The success of Project Ghost is not just a policing victory, it is a community safety milestone for Brampton, the Peel region, and the broader GTA, as you can hear, of the regions affected. This investigation involved more than a dozen incidents, home invasions, stabbing, shootings, and coordinated luxury vehicle thefts. These were not random acts. This was organized crime. It was deliberate, it was violent, and it was terrifying for the victims involved. As our deputy chief said, just imagine being that family, having the door knocked down, how the nightmares, those children will have for weeks, months, and years to follow. What's even more disturbing about this network is the exploitation of youth, recruiting minors to carry out dangerous crimes. Absolutely disgusting. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Organized crime is not just a big city problem. It's not just something you see in movies. It's here. And organized crime will exploit any loophole they see in policing or in the criminal code to take advantage of that. You see that with the exploitation of youth. And this is why I'm so grateful for the leadership of Peel Police, for taking swift, strategic, and effective action. This is exactly why you invest in policing, to make sure they have the capacity to respond. These arrests and the 197 charges laid send a very clear message. If you bring violence to our neighborhoods, if you exploit youth, and if you think you can act with impunity, think again. You will be arrested and charged and face our justice system. Families in Peel Region deserve to feel safe. And I think we're all going to sleep a little bit better tonight knowing the success of Project Ghost. So on behalf of the residents of Brampton, I wanted to say thank you to Chief Nish and his team, Deputy Chief Milovich, and to everyone involved in Project Ghost for this very impressive and successful investigation. Today is another great day for public safety in the GTA.
Thankful to Peel Regional Police Deputy Chief Nick Milanovich, Chief Nish Diriapa for the amazing job that they've done on Project Ghost, making sure that these violent criminals are off of our streets. They were breaking into homes and using vulnerable youth to do so. And that's what's so critical about Project Ghost, is making sure that our youth don't become subsequent to these criminal activities and these crime groups. Thank you to Chief Nish, thank you to Deputy Chief Milanovich for the great work in getting these criminals off our streets.
देखिए आज हम इकट्ठे हुए हैं प्रोजेक्ट गोस्ट की अनाउंसमेंट के लिए. Yet another successful announcement in Peel Regional Police, by Peel Regional Police, of जो arrests, with the crime wave जो आपने देखा, ये arrests, and they continue to make ये announcements जो चाहिए. And for that we are beyond proud as board members. We are beyond proud of the investment and the work that's gone into जो Peel Police के अंदर होता है हमारी तरफ से. But we are so proud of this team and जो ये काम कर रहे हैं. To steal from Mayor Patrick Brown's line, crime either is not undetected, either कुछ करोगे तो आप पकड़े जाओगे. And for that we are beyond proud of Peel Police, and for that we also thank region of Peel for all the investment. 300 officers जो आपने इस साल देखे थे, उसका result आप देख रहे हैं कि more and more announcements, because we have more support, more officers, more team. As crime is becoming more sophisticated, हमारे लोग पीछे नहीं रह रहे, हमारे उसके advancement कर रहे हैं. And आज की यही announcement आपने जो देखी थी Project Ghost की. I'll turn it over to Mr. Serpe.
So today, the announcement of Project Ghost was yet another example of Peel Police sending a message to our community that Peel is a safe place to work and live, but also a message to those that think that they're going to profit off of the people of Peel, that we have zero tolerance for that. The board and the police service have invested record numbers of resources, frontline officers, to ensure that we have the safest streets possible. This is an issue that terrorizes families in their own homes and matters to everybody in Peel and every level of government. Today alone, we saw mayors, local councillors, we saw MPPs, we saw provincial ministers, and we saw federal MPs all supporting this announcement today. And I think that the message that we all want to send is that this is not going to be tolerated. And if you commit these crimes in Peel, you're going to get arrested, you're going to get charged, and you're going to get prosecuted.
I'm just going to cap it off. As a resident of Peel, a resident of Mississauga, I do feel safer today, and we should all feel a little bit safer today. And I just want to commend PRP on the work.
Project, which actually a good example of when the provincial government puts the resources, give the Peel Police enough resources to investigate and target the organized crime, we can achieve. So today is a good day, and we would like to see more of that. But the more important is changing the laws. People who commit crimes have to know that they will be behind bars. There is no point in a police officer risking his life to catch a criminal, and the criminal is out in the street after 2 hours.
Yeah, so I'm Councillor Alvin Tedjo, ALVINTEDJO. I'm really proud of the announcement today because my residents in my community have been very, very afraid and worried and nervous over the last several months about what's been happening in their communities. In respect to releasing people on bail, and that's the provincial and federal government's responsibility to make sure that after we catch them here at the Region of Peel, that they put them away. And so we'll keep catching them. We will be keeping the resources there for them to do their job. But we also need the provincial and federal government to step up and do their job to make sure that these criminals stay off our streets.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੀਓ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਹੈੱਡਕੁਆਟਰ ਤੇ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਡਕੈਤੇ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਮੁਲਜ਼ਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਵਾਇਲੈਂਟ ਹੋਮ ਇਨਵੇਜਨ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਲਮੋਸਟ 15 ਜਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਆਲਮੋਸਟ 200 ਪਰਚੇ ਲਗਾਏ ਹਨ ਜੀ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਕੁਝ ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟਸ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸ਼ੱਕੀ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਟ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁੱਟਮਾਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਈਵਨ ਕਿ ਕੁਝ ਕੁ ਇੰਸੀਡੈਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ੂਟਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਾਈ ਐਂਡ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਜੁਐਲਰੀ ਹਾਈ ਐਂਡ ਜੁਐਲਰੀ ਦੀ ਚੋਰੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਇਹ 15 ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ 8 ਅਡਲਟ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ 5 ਜੋ ਕਿ ਯੂਥ ਹਨ।